100 years ago, students sat at desks, in rows, listened to a lecture, took notes, and took tests. Today, they're doing the exact same thing. Everything else has evolved: our phones, our medicine, our cities, even how we communicate and relate to one another. But education got left behind. And what's filling the void? An indoctrination farm disguised as progress. We've mastered interactive technology, personalized medicine, and adaptive AI. Yet we still chain kids to desks for several hours, expecting them to absorb knowledge passively all day, every day, 5 days a week. Same classroom, same lecture, same test, frozen in time. Listen to this silence.
14 is...
Okay, M comes first. Column C.
So to talk about my history about public education, I think, at least most people might have that one teacher or one year that they did go to school that they thought they were inspired or, made a good impact for them. Me personally, absolutely nothing. I was an average student in school, maybe like a C or B here, nothing too great, which is the middle of the pack. For me personally, if it wasn't for athletics and sports, those were what made a huge impact on my life. The coaches, especially the football coaches, track coaches, kind of were the same thing. But those people, what they did to me during those environments had magnitude of greater of impact than any teacher in any class that I went to in high school. And unfortunately, I don't even like it. All of that education stuff I did in public school really didn't do anything for me. I didn't like it. And I think most people can attest to this as far as public education goes. Honestly, for me, it wasn't until later in life, once, I got a little bit more mature and wiser, that I started getting into a lot of things. For me personally, I was good at math, but I was never inspired by math. In fact, it wasn't until I started working at a pool hall and started playing on a pool table that I got really into, geometry, physics, the muscular structure of how to hit the ball. All of that stuff I learned more about education of different sciences and everything through a pool table than I ever did taking any class throughout middle school or high school. So personally, I think the education system needs to be broken down from the ground up. Unfortunately, I think the bureaucracy and how many people are involved in creating the education system, it will never happen, unfortunately. So this video is kind of more of looking at some alternatives that I think would have some great success, but the only way for that to happen is if there's a mass movement to go push that forward. And what we're going to be talking about in this video is a perfect school that I wish I could have gone to as a child. This is what's fascinating about my own personal reflection about education. I came to the realization that the greatest minds in history didn't learn in a classroom either. They learned through mentorship. From Socrates to Plato to Aristotle, ending with Alexander the Great, a direct lineage of intellectual inheritance. Each mentor didn't just teach facts, they shaped how a person thought. Socrates taught Plato how to question and seek truth. Plato taught Aristotle systematic thinking, and Aristotle taught Alexander how to apply thinking to conquering the world. That personal connection and that individual attention, that's what created greatness, and it's worked for thousands of years. The world we live in today is dramatically changing at breakneck speed, and our education system is not able to keep up or even attempting to keep up with the times. How can we fix this?
This is Alpha School, where teachers are considered guides and students study for only 2 hours a day and supposedly they're learning twice as fast.
Alpha School was founded in 2014 by Mackenzie Price in Austin, Texas, not as a business plan, but as a mother personally invested in her own child's development. Price has a degree in psychology, so she understands how kids actually learn, not just how institutions say they should learn. That matters, because most education is designed by bureaucrats and politicians. But Alpha started because one person with real expertise in childhood development asked, what if we did this differently? That's the difference between a factory and a mentorship.
You condense like a 6-hour normal school day into only 2 hours, and it's not like with a teacher standing in front of you. It's with an AI app that's personalized to skills that you need to learn in the grade level.
After those 2 hours of personalized AI learning, students spend their afternoons in workshops, pursuing their passions, learning real-world skills, everything from mobile engineering to creative projects and even public speaking. Also, soft home skills like cooking and personal finance.
Because the AI learning only takes 2 hours, the rest of the day is open for exploring their passions like swimming, art, or even launching their own startup. Some dive into music. One student, he's building a cleaning robot.
When I build it, I program it to clean.
You're gonna program it to clean stuff?
Yeah,
That's
like
smart.
tiny stuff.
After lunch, like, it's not academics, it's just the workshops, the teamwork, the doing your passion project. And so for them, I think that's why they take it so seriously, because they have that understanding of this isn't a traditional school where I'm gonna be doing this for the entire day. But I know that if I'm gonna condense an entire day down into just the morning, then that's what has to get done.
Here's what's telling. Students themselves have been pushing to extend the school year because they're actually engaged. They're not burnt out begging for summer. They want more. And that's the difference between forced standardization and genuine learning.
When kids love school, you get to do all these cool things, and we take that very seriously. In fact, we survey our students every 6 weeks, and we ask, would you rather go to school, or do you like school? 95% of our students say they love school, but we actually even take it further. We'll say, would you rather go to school or go on vacation? Did you ever want to go to school more than vacation growing up? You were a good boy.
No, I don't think so.
I certainly didn't. Well, guess what? We get about 60% of our students will say they'd rather go to school than go on vacation. And in fact, we had a totally crazy thing happen this year. In the spring of 2025, our high school students came to us and they said, hey, we want to keep school open this summer because we want to keep working on our projects and we've got stuff to do. So their teachers, we call them guides, the teachers looked at each other and like, okay, I guess we're like going to coordinate our vacation schedules. So if you go to Austin, Texas this summer, you will see like a thriving campus with kids that are there. They want to hang out with their friends and work on these projects that they're doing, during the day. And that's the kind of thing school should be, right?
In Alpha School, teachers aren't lecturers anymore. They're coaches. They work one-on-one with students, identifying gaps and motivating them, helping them develop real skills like problem solving and critical thinking. That's a fundamentally different role. Traditional teachers are gatekeepers of information, while Alpha's coaches are facilitators of learning. These coaches try to show how the student can find the right answer, while teachers are telling the student this is the right answer.
So what do you think about your guides here?
They're nice. They don't tell me the answers. They just give me resources.
Which one actually prepares kids for the real world? Yet this model did not emerge in a vacuum. It came out of necessity.
The majority of American public students are now well into a virtual school year, and data from around the country is starting to show that middle and high school students are falling behind. This week, Fairfax County Public Schools in Virginia, one of the biggest districts in the country, reported an 83% jump in middle and high schoolers earning Fs this year compared to last year.
COVID forced schools online overnight with no real plan in place. Kids stared at screens for 8 hours a day, stuck in a virtual classroom that was never designed to actually teach. It was chaotic, impersonal, and exhausting. And that failure is exactly where a lot of backlash comes from. It's why so many people now see technology as the enemy, as a distraction, something ruining a kid's education rather than helping them.
But things look very different at the private Sacramento Waldorf School in California, where technology isn't used at all through 8th grade and is scarce even in high school.
Here's the paradox. If we remove technology from schools to protect kids, how are they supposed to learn to use it responsibly? They graduate into a world that runs on technology and suddenly exposed to it without ever learning how to navigate it critically. They become dependent on it because they never were taught to master it. Alpha School somewhat understands this principle. They're not hiding from technology. They're teaching kids how to understand it, to use it as a tool rather than to be controlled by it. But the problem wasn't technology itself. It was how it was implemented. Alpha School learned from that failure. They showed what happens when tech is actually integrated thoughtfully. When kids learn how to use technology constructively rather than being enslaved by it. That's the bridge we need. And this school is showing how we can integrate that use for our modern conveniences as an advantage to learning and education. That's what thoughtful, personalized tech integration actually looks like. The Alpha School in Austin, Texas proves that this works. Now comes the hard part. Will the system actually listen? Or will it keep pretending the 6-hour classroom and standardized tests are still the answer? Alright guys, that's the end of the episode. It was pretty interesting kind of doing my research on the Alpha School and then the other anti-technology schools. I do think both of them have their place. It's very important that we do separate ourselves from education. I definitely liked Alpha School's approach to it, trying to integrate it and get these kids at least used to the tools that they're going to have access to when they get older, instead of completely, absolutely removing these tools. So when these kids that do go to these tech-less environments, when they graduate or go to college, they don't know how to handle these tools. And in some cases, I could personally see them just becoming enslaved by the tool itself. So, like I said, I think both of them have a place, but I definitely like what Alpha School is doing, integrating both of those in a very controlled environment. I've been actually also been meaning to tell you guys, I do actually have a book if you kind of want to check it out. And this is the only hard copy, so I do got some paperback. It's on Amazon. Um, I wrote this about a year ago. Yeah, about a year ago now. Definitely have changed since writing this. It was definitely more for myself, just kind of getting a lot of ideas on paper of my philosophies. So I'll definitely be leaving links in that on the channel. But I definitely got a lot more content in the pipeline. I'm actually getting in a nice little stride doing this. So we'll be going all over the place, but like I said, the main purpose of this is just, start having conversations with people that are with kids, parents, teachers, coaches, and really start having those conversations of how we're supposed to raise kids in this generation and preparing them for success in the future. So, hope this makes a good connection with everyone. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next episode. Appreciate it.